Hello and welcome to Southeastern 16. I'm Chris Lee, joined by Graham Doty. We continue our season of off-season interviews in the fall with baseball head coaches. We've got Alabama's Rob Vaughn with us now. Rob, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us. We always enjoy our conversations and look forward to this one.
Heck yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Love being on here.
Well, hey, I thought you guys, your staff did a tremendous job a year ago. You reloaded with a lot of JUCO guys. You had some pitching health situations of bringing guys back. You played a meat grind of a schedule. And I said this at the time. I think if you don't have SEC beside your name, you're hosting because the
Sure.
metrics, I think, pretty well lined up. I just think giving one more SEC team was maybe something committee didn't want to do. I don't know. And then, my
Yeah.
goodness, I don't think anybody caught tougher breaks in regionals than you guys did. So
Sure.
I know that kind of the lens through which your season is viewed, being a 2 instead of a host and losing in a regional, change the optics differently. But watching you guys, I was super impressed with what you guys did. I think you end up with a better season than most people realized.
Yeah, man. And it is. I mean, I think, our message to our guys is always people remember how you finish, and we didn't finish near as strong as we wanted. But I agree. Like, we were the first team, the way I understand it, I haven't been here long, first team in the history of the SEC to ever have the metrics we had and not host. But I think you're right. Like, you can't argue. I mean, Southern Miss had a great season. You look at some of those guys that were kind of in that 14, 15, 16 range. And I think and even really probably through 18 or 19, it was kind of draw them out of a hat. All six of those teams probably deserved it in some way, shape, or form. But man, I was really proud of some of the things we did, and just a different situation. We knew we were going to have to be a little bit heavier in the portal than I think long term I would like to be here, which is what we did in year one and year two, kind of out of necessity, just to create some old guys to go compete in this league. And man, we go out there, and this seems like a really small feat. Nobody gives you a trophy for this, but going undefeated in midweek games was one of the things I
Mm.
was most proud about. And it's not hard to show up on a Friday night at the box to go play LSU and be focused and have energy. It's a whole different set of problems you got when you're doing that. But from a focus and a attention to detail standpoint, it's not hard. It's a little bit harder on a Tuesday when you're coming off. You're coming off a big weekend, a good, bad, or indifferent. To go ring the bell in a midweek game, and these guys did that every game. So did that, go to a regional and did some things good, man. Like, Kate Snell hit a ball about as good as you can humanly hit a ball against Miami that I
Wow.
thought was 100 feet over the fence. It got caught at the fence. And our closer, who was the all-time saves leader now at Alabama, in the game in the eighth with a chance to beat Southern Miss. And just caught some tough breaks. We talk about wanting to put our guys in the right situations and have the right guys at the right time. And I thought our staff did a great job of doing that. And the game of baseball can be cruel sometime. And at the end of the day, nobody cares if it was good, bad, or indifferent. We ended up 0-2 in a regional and heading home. So we feel like we've got work to do coming into this offseason. It's been a great fall so far.
You recently wrapped up fall ball. Like, what's the biggest thing that you want to accomplish in fall ball?
I think the biggest thing, like, we can spend time on bunt defenses. We can spend time on first to thirds plays. We can do all of that stuff. But ultimately, the biggest piece for me in the fall is kind of our identity. Who are we? What kind of brand do we play in this day and age in baseball? That can really change a lot. In college athletics, you go into the portal, you have the freshman class come in, there's turnover, there's a lot of that stuff to where, man, you got a lot of new faces in the building, and we've got to really stamp the brand of baseball that we're going to play. The type of mentality we're going to play with is really the biggest thing I look for in the fall. We got plenty of time to clean up team defense. We got plenty of time to clean up that stuff. It's us kind of creating an incredibly competitive cauldron to throw these guys into and say, man, this is our brand. This is who we are. I don't care if you're a freshman coming in, a returner, a JUCO kid, a transfer portal kid, doesn't matter. Like, this is what it looks like here, and this is the brand we're going to play here. And that's what we try to spend an immense amount of time on. We'll have time to clean up some of the other stuff, but we better get that brand right, because once you get to January, man, if you're still searching for who are you and what is your identity, man, it's the bullets start flying real quick, and that's not a fun time to try to figure out that.
Rob, you said you wanted to get a little bit less portal heavy with your roster. Man, I don't know that relative to what it could have been, anybody in the league came out better than you in the draft. I mean, the
Sure.
list of stuff that happened, first of all, you get Bryce Fowler back. That's a big one.
Huge.
On the hitting side, you get Will Rhine through the draft, Eric Hines, Chase Kroberger, all guys that were draftable guys. On the pitching side, you got Zane Adams through. That was a big win, I think. But he was draft eligible, right?
Yep, draft eligible sophomore. Yep.
Yep. Barnett, I guess, is Barnett a two-way guy for you?
Two-way guy. Yep.
Okay.
Big one to get through the draft for sure.
Yeah, and then Smyers and Upchurch, I guess, was a top 100 guy by some. Like, not a lot of teams get that many guys in that range through. How did you guys? What were you able to do to make that happen?
Yeah, I mean that's the story. I think that we say it all the time. Some of the biggest portal gets, for lack of a better term, was Tyler Fay coming back to school, Zane Adams coming back to school, Bryce Fowler and Brady Neal all opting to come back to school. Every one of those guys had an opportunity to sign, and I think that there's this connotation in college now with these young people being able to make some money now, like that if they come to school over the draft, you just buy them out of the draft, right? Like that's kind of what it looks like. Is, man, in school they can make as much money as they made in the draft, and man, like we approach it a little bit differently with our guys here, and I think every one of those guys that got through the draft out of high school were all guys that just felt like the real money was going to come in July of the draft of their junior year, and they were kind of had the guts and trusted us that we were going to be able to turn $1 million into $2.5–3 million for them. And I think for those pitchers, you look at what Jason Jackson's done with our pitching staff. I mean, this is the most competitive league in college baseball. There's good players all over, but this is just a meat grinder of a league, and it's the best of the best week in and week out with elite coaches, just elite pitching coaches around this league. He's the only pitching coach in the SEC that has had $1 million arm, at least $1 million arm each of the last 5 years. The only one. And there's some that have had multiple. There's some, but the consistency of him doing that. And the other piece of it is every one of those guys were homegrown guys. They were not guys that we went and got out of the portal and had them for a year and tweaked a few things and they became a first rounder. You look at the Connor Prelips, the Ben Hesses, the Riley Quicks, and you look at those guys, those are all homegrown dudes that have been under Jason Jackson's tutelage and turned themselves into big arms leaving here. And I think that's something that I think those young guys got really excited about. Have said, you know what, there's a lot of excitement down there right now. They've got a good team, and we're going to make a long-term investment. We're going to kind of practice this kind of delayed gratification, right? Of like, I'm okay walking away from a little bit now to bet on this staff and my own work ethic to turn that into a heck of a lot of money in a couple of years. And so I think, that's the scary thing at times is you sign a really good class and they're all draft first, but if they're not draft first, you probably don't have good enough players. Like that's just the reality of it. So we got to sign classes year in and year out that we hold our breath in July. And man, we got to coach them and make them better now, but I think it went about as good as we could have put it on paper.
Earlier you mentioned culture, identity. How do you like to do that? Like, are you a guy, like, do you assign a book? Do you guys go on retreats? What do you find is the best way to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it. I used to assign books all the time. And, and I don't know, everybody learns a little bit differently and goes through things. We talk about stuff in a classroom. We do the same stuff. I mean, one of the best coaches probably – at least in recent history in our game, Tim Corbin does that as good or better than anybody as far as getting them in. And it's teaching them things that far go beyond this game, right? Like that's a big piece of it. But to me, it's less about what we say. Like it's more about the day-to-day consistency of it. What are we stepping into? How are we behaving as fathers, as husbands? How are we treating our wives? How are we treating our kids? Our kids are around all the time. Our wives are around all the time. Our players see those interactions. We bring them into our homes. They see those things. And so much of that, I think you can teach in a classroom, but our day-to-day interactions are how our culture is created. And, some of the great ones is, man, it's not what you teach, it's what you tolerate. That's an old slogan in coaching. And we can say the right things in a classroom. You can make them read a book. You can make them do all those. And none of that stuff is wrong. I think all that's great. But I think so much of it is, how do we go about our business day to day and creating an atmosphere? Like, that's where the development comes. In college, you're limited. Like, every kid I talk to in the transfer portal, every single one of them is like, Coach, I want to be developed better. That's like the buzzword you hear is development and all over. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, dude, you're leaving a place that has an elite coach. Like, what do you mean development? I know those coaches. I know what they do. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just this buzzword that gets said. But so much as this is, by the NCAA rules, we're limited by hours. We have 8-hour weeks at times. We have 20-hour weeks at times. So we're not able to go in a cage with a guy for 12 hours a week and just have one-on-one time with him. That's not a thing. It's not, you just don't have that time in the day. So for us, like, we put a huge emphasis in the environment that we create every day. That's where our culture shows up. What is the environment that these kids walk into every day? And Anson Dorrance, who's an elite, probably one of the best coaches in any sport, the women's soccer coach over at North Carolina, he talks about a competitive cauldron, and that's like their big thing. He has a book that's phenomenal that I read years ago. And like, that's what our culture is built in is, man, we are going to compete and hang our hat on competitive winners, and winning matters and competing matters, and showing up and giving us whatever you got that day matters. And so we create an atmosphere, whether it's in these 8-hour individual sections when we're in our 8-hour weeks, or whether we're in our 20-hour week practice segments, that, man, you better show up ready to go every day. You better show up ready to compete every day. You better show up ready to give everything you've got for your guys every day. Like, that's where culture shows up. And culture is not, I mean, you see behind, I got a million books back here. Like, but to me, so many guys are going, especially this day and age, like, you keep their attention long enough to read a book, I guess that's pretty disciplined. But there's a lot of times you have it up here, but don't understand it in here. And this is the only thing that matters, because when the bullets start flying in the spring, it doesn't matter what you know, it's how you behave. And that's the set of behaviors we try to cultivate from the first day they step on campus here in August.
Well, one thing that'll be interesting about your team, and I haven't done this for all the teams, you talk about not having time to develop guys one-on-one and things. Hey, helps that you're old.
No doubt.
You got a lot of guys, like, I'm looking, you're pushing 2,500 plate appearances, from wherever these guys were last year. That's an unusually high number, pushing 500 innings with what your guys threw between your campus and other ones last year. I don't know how that's going to rank against the rest of the SEC teams, but I bet that's going to be really high. You also got another half dozen plus kids who, again, could have gone pro and not come to campus. I mean, talk about creating competition. You got guys on campus that are used to playing ball. You got more of those than you got spots on the diamond, and then you add the new guys in. That's going to be fascinating to see how that pans out.
No doubt. I mean, it takes, I think any coach will tell you, and man, it takes some time to make it look exactly the way you want to do it, and I know the transfer portal allows you to, quote unquote, flip your team a little faster or get your guys in a little faster. But if you're looking for long-term success, if you're going to flip your team every year, you better have a really big pocketbook. I'll tell you that. Like, that's a big piece of it. And there's very few places in the country that have the ability to just go buy a super team year in and year out. Frankly, like, the reason I got into coaching isn't to buy a super team. That's just not the style that I've ever been brought up in. And you look at some of the best teams. I know LSU won the Natty last year, but you look at LSU 2 years ago when they won the national championship. Man, yeah, Tommy White's a transfer who was awesome. But, man, a lot of homegrown dudes in there, like Trey Morgans and all of those guys, some just homegrown elite players. And I think as coaches, sometimes we get out of that because it is more comforting for us when you have 2,500, whatever, at bats coming in. Like, it makes you feel better. Because what you see now, I was talking to a guy that's a pro manager yesterday. Him and I were talking about this. And I said, what you're seeing is these kids are as skilled as ever coming in. They are as talented and as skilled as ever stepping on campus as freshmen. But the IQ and the competitive instincts of the game of baseball, it sometimes, man, takes some time to develop at times, right? Like they've got the skill set, but those older players that have had all of those at bats and all of those games underneath their belt, those guys have a little bit more game feel. They have a little bit more ability to operate in the chaos that is SEC weekends, and so I think this is finally in year 3, us finally getting to a place to where you love the way the roster looks from a talented, competitive, seasoned older group and incredibly talented young players that you have to now blend them together, because ideally you supplement your team with the portal. You don't build your team in the portal. That's kind of our view of this thing. Now, when you have this freshman class in here, we go into this summer not saying, hey, we got to go get 10 guys there. You might have to say, hey, we might need a couple arms here. Maybe this specific position we got to go get. But with this young guys coming in, it's like, man, when those guys step in to be sophomores, they've watched these elite older players play. They played alongside some of those older players for a year. So in year 2, they're ready to take the reins up themselves and run with it. And I think that's kind of an older school philosophy of building your team. And we'll always use the portal just like everybody does. But I don't want to build our team through the portal. I want to supplement our team and build our team through the young pups that are kind of here learning the culture, learning how we do things. And you start to see in year 2, 3, 4, those guys become those players you hope they would be. And we've seen it with a couple guys on camps already that were freshmen last year that have come back this year as completely different dudes because they know what to expect. They know what it takes and are ringing the bell, which is awesome.
I got to ask you about Justin Lebron. How big is it? You get him back, and then he's been with you from day one. So 3 years now, and then how much elevated can his game be as an upcoming junior?
Yeah, it's funny. We talk about culture and all these things, right? Like when you have a player like him, like who's it? Coach Saban says it all the time, man. It's the Jimmies and Joes, not the X's and O's. Like,
yeah,
Justin LeBron's a pretty good Jimmy to have on campus. You know what I mean? And to see him grow and to see him do his thing. I mean, incredibly talented kid, but this sounds cliche. I'm sure everybody says it, but just a better human, man. Like,
yeah,
that guy in the world we're in now, you see it, and I get it. Everybody has their thing, but there's a lot of dudes that just chase money around places, and they'll use development. They'll use some excuse that if you're being real with yourself, it's just, hey, it's a big dollar figure, and I don't fault you for doing it. I get it. Like some of these numbers thrown around are insane. So I get all that, but you have a guy like him that says, and it all boils from his family and his mom and his dad and the family dynamic they have of just loyalty matters, like consistency matters, people matter. And I think we've lost that a little bit in this game.
Yeah.
And not just in this game, in college athletics in general. That's kind of taken a back seat. But Justin said, like, man, I know he told me that as a freshman. When he came in his exit meeting of his freshman year, he said, Coach, like, I know where the real money's coming. And after my junior year, I'm going to make enough money that I'm not going to go chase it right now. Why would I do that? You guys are the ones that have helped me get here. Like, I'm comfortable here. This is the family I want to be a part of. I came to Alabama to help put Alabama on the national scene. This is where I want to do it. And, man, there was plenty of options to go anywhere he wanted and make however much money he wanted. And he said, like, these are my dudes. These are my people. I'm going to do it here. And because of that, he is going to go down as a legend at the University of Alabama. Just special kid. I mean, you see some of the stuff he does right now. Like, it's just different. Like, I was in the weight room this morning. I was working out in there this morning when he was in there. And he was the 155-pound kid coming in that's now 190 pounds. And without this being weird, man, that guy takes his shirt off and he has muscles that I don't even have in my body. Like, not only do mine not look like that, I don't think I have them. And it's just different the way he moves on the field, the way he moves around the base. I told a scout the other day, I said, I think I could watch him not field a ground ball, not take a swing and run the bases and still draft him in the top 5 picks. Like, it's just different. He moves different. And it's been really fun for me to watch him because – he's the young phenom that bursts on the scene year one. Last year, he's the guy circled on every roster if he can't beat you. And there was some growing pains with that. He had to learn how to navigate that a little bit and learn why everybody pitched him different. You have a guy when it's like, hey, he does not throw a right changeup. He hasn't done it all year. Well, Braun, guess what? You're going to get 3 right changeups because he's got to do something different to get you out. And it's watching him mature through that and grow through that and be frustrated at times and then continue moving the needle and grow through that to coming back this year and been incredibly mature, been incredibly focused. Like, man, it's not only we were fortunate to be talking with some different people the other day, and he made the comment to Justin. He said, how are you not going to let all the hype around the draft affect you? How are you like this being 1-1 and all these conversations? How are you not going to let that affect you? Without skipping a beat, we were standing there with 2 of our other guys, 2 of his roommates. Without skipping a beat, he said, I'm going to play for those guys. And that's what makes Justin is it's not, yes, it's gifted. Yes, it's talented. Yes, he works hard. All of those things. But he's truly a dude that loves his teammates, that wants to win at Alabama, and knowing that if he does that, all that other stuff's going to take care of himself. That's why if I'm a pro team and I'm looking around, and that's not a knock on anybody else, but I can't imagine taking somebody over him that has that combination of makeup and skill set. It's special. So, man, we go as far as one goes. That's what I'll tell you right now. So we're excited to get to work with him this spring, one last ride.
Yeah, when I watched him play last year, like the talents, I thought at times, like sometimes, and you probably don't recruit kids. The way you recruit, I don't think you have a problem with attracting kids that care too little about baseball. That's not the brand that you built. They're not going to fit with you very long. He strikes me as a guy that he cares a lot about a lot of things and wants to get it all right. And it's almost, I don't know if he's a perfectionist. You're around him. I'm not. But I could kind of sense that at times. That, like, how do you have those conversations to talk kids through that when the weight of the world is on them, not just the draft stuff, but wanting to play for their teammates?
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. Like, I think as human beings, the more we turn our eyes on ourselves, even if it's coming from a good place, like I want to be good for my teammates. But every time, man, we internalize stuff on ourselves and make it about us, even if it's somehow weirdly not about us, like, man, it doesn't go well, and it's all about just pouring into people. Like, Justin's the one setting up community service for guys. We do a giant competition in the fall. Like, that guy's doing like the one, not just attending community service, but the one spearheading community service and doing that stuff. Like, that's just in his DNA as a human. And so to me, like, he works really hard at this game, but I think Justin's also got really good perspective, and I think you see people, and I mean this in the most positive way possible. Like, if you took baseball away from Justin Lebron today and said you could never play again, he would still be a smashing success at whatever he decided to do, and his identity is not Justin Lebron, the shortstop. And that is not to say he doesn't have a relentless drive to be the best, but it's not where I don't think he finds his identity in that. I think that's what's allowed him to navigate everything that's coming at him. I mean, shoot, in the world of NIL, like, there's 3 athletes on this campus. Well, Ty Simpson is now catapulted into that. But, like, coming into this year, you have Ryan Williams in football, you have LeBaron Philon in basketball, and you have Justin Lebron in baseball. Like, Justin walking anywhere in this town, like, people know who he is. And because of that, there's lots of companies and lots of things that want to work with him, which is great. But there's a lot coming at him. There's a lot coming at those guys. And if he let his identity get wrapped up in that, it would be really tough. But I think you point back to mom and dad. You point back to the family dynamic. I meet with them all the time in here in the office, just to tell, and that's my language to them. It's like, dude, I'm going to let you do you, but, like, use me. Let me protect you from some of this stuff. If it starts to be too much, you got to talk to me about it. We got to work through this. But, man, what a professional. I think he knows how to walk that line. And it's what I say, like, I'll use a little bit different language than I normally use it, but I usually tell guys, like, the best of the best know how to walk the line between caring and not caring. Like, it's a fine line, right? Like, you grip it too tight, this game will eat you alive. if you don't care enough, you'll never be as good as you're capable of being. But the best know how to walk that line. And Justin does that, man. It's when it's time to work, there is not a harder worker in whatever it is, weight room, field, hitting, whatever you want to call it. There's nobody cares more. But when he's got to turn it off and move to the next thing, he has the distinct ability to be present in that and turn it off and go be Justin Lebron, the human. And that's one thing that is a really cool thing about him that not a lot of people know.
One of your big additions, a guy with SEC experience, Sam Christensen. Just how has that been bringing him in? And like, is he a guy? Is he going to be like two positions? You going to put him in the outfield and third? Like, where do you find a home for him?
Yeah. So Sammy's the best. And if you guys, I don't know if you've interviewed Skip this year or not. Skip is beautiful over at OU. He is absolutely beautiful. And, I call him. Sam gets in the portal. So I called Skip and I was like, hey, I've known you for years, Skip. Anything I need to know? Nope, Rob, he's good. I love him. You should take him. End a call. It was like a 30-second call. And I was like, all right, cool. But so many times, man, and this is what was kind of neat through this process. Todd Butler, who's obviously the recruiting coordinator over at OU, spent some time at Alabama before, earlier in his career. Man, every time I see the OU guys, every time I see Russell Rayleigh out, every time I see Butler out, every time I see those guys, like, man, how's my boy Sam doing? Like, it was one of those that, like, they're rooting for him to have success. Now, probably not the weekend we're in Norman. Like, they're probably going to not want that to happen. But, like, just glowing reviews of that. We got on the phone with Sammy, and it was, like, within 30 seconds, it was like, man, this is our type of kid. Dad played in the big league, so has, like, some of that. He's been through some good things, was really good at South Mountain. Before he got hurt there, put up some ridiculous numbers. He had a homer against us here when they played us here last year. He had a homer against us, like, elite control the strike zone. So all the metrics we looked at were like, we love this kid. But we got on the phone and we're like, man, this is our kind of guy. And so had him, Dad came on the visit with him. They were awesome. It was great. We got the deal done pretty quick. We were getting ready to leave to the airport that next morning, and we're sitting in front of his hotel, and he said, hey, I'm in. So been a huge addition for us. And when you really pull back the curtain on Sam, like, you can tell he's the kid of a former big leaguer. Like, he's just got such a cool perspective on things, incredibly mature, and has been so good for our young players. And that's hard as a transfer. He's trying to get his feet wet. He's trying to figure out where he fits in this whole ecosystem we have. But he's also still leading the young guys already. And it's really, really neat to see him pull them aside, because you have that. You have every young kid that when they don't hit 20 homers in their first round of BP, they're freaking out because they're trying to impress everybody, and just able to kind of pull them back and, like, talk to them about what this looks like and what the day-to-day grind of college athletics looks like and how to keep showing up when it's not going great. He's done all that stuff for us. So Sam is, he's mainly played left field for us. We've kind of had him probably out there, which I think, if the game started today, he's probably going to start in left field for us. The one thing I know is, like, it's an at-bat that I trust. Like, I trust him, whether it's hitting 3 behind LeBron, whether it's hitting 5. I trust his at-bats. It's a really mature approach. I trust that the moment's not going to get too big for him. He has played a little bit of first base for us, but, I mean, he's played first base his whole life. Like, he was kind of thrust into the outfield at OU 2 weeks before the season started because it's like, dude, you're raking. We got to find a way to get you in the lineup. Go figure it out. And so we have kind of given him an opportunity to be more of an outfielder that can move into first than the alternative. So if I were to pencil today, I said he spent probably 95% of his time this year out in left, and just trying to get him really comfortable out there. That's kind of where I see him if the season started today for us.
Well, first of all, you've done some impressive things. Go ahead, Graham. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say 30 seconds will skip. Like, that's a short conversation.
Dude, it was hilarious. Like, I love that man so much. One of my best friends is Austin Wood, who is kind of a legend at the University of Texas, pitched for Skip and loves him. So I've known Skip for a long time, and it's just, he is going to tell you exactly what he thinks, and it's going to be to the point, and there's going to be no fluff. And it was awesome. It was just like, he's great. No red flags. You should probably go get him. Like, done. All right, Skip. Thanks, pal. Back to work. He's the man. I love that guy.
That was my same thought, as like how you got that in 30 seconds. That was an accomplishment. We love him. I mean, he is a fascinating interview. I mean,
he's beautiful.
Yeah. We see him the same. I I want to ask you about some of your newcomer hitters. You got Justin Osterhaus, I guess is how you pronounce it, Fort Wayne. Yep. You got some guys that do a lot of different things. 16 bombs, 13 steals, nice walk rate. Josh Lamb from Southern Illinois, catcher, 19 homers, 9 steals, really high walk rate. And Logan Davenport from Northern Kentucky, he went 14 and 19. Same thing. Like, you're getting guys that look like they were very well-rounded players at their previous stops. Tell us about those kids.
Yeah, and all three of those guys feel like a very distinct role. You know, Osterhaus is probably one of the first ones we went heavy after with Purdue Fort Wayne, you know, canceling their program. We were able to do our due diligence pretty early there, and we knew we loved him. We just didn't know if we were going to get him. I mean, he came from Baton Rouge to Tuscaloosa, and a lot of times they don't make it here when they leave Baton Rouge, you know. So, but it was just, I think, just the culture that we have here, the environment we had, I think, it's just what he was looking for, and he was mature enough. Like, LSU is elite. I think people, you can have whatever opinion you want. I don't know if there's too many better head coaches in the country than Jay Johnson. Like, dude's won 2 of the last 3 national championships. When you coach against him, you always feel like he's putting the right guy in at the right time. And I know as a coach at Alabama, I'm supposed to bash every other coach in our league, but man, I really respect the way he coaches. Like, but I felt like Justin just thought we were a better fit for him. Didn't mean we were better coaches than them, just that it was a better fit for him and had the guts to go with that. And so, you know, we got him in, and it's what you said. It's super athletic. We loved the fact that he has played all over the field. You know, he's really settled in at third base for us, but has played third, played a lot of second in the Cape, has played some shortstop, has played in the corner outfield and done some things. So he's done a lot of different things. So for us, it was an experienced, athletic, left-handed hitter that we kind of thought would play third, but had the ability to move around. And shoot, we've had him pretty much exclusively at third and second for us, mainly third base, but can go over and play some second too. But love him, love the player he was or is, and I think his poise, like, again, as you project, right, like, I think he's the guy that I would hit behind Braun right now. And Lord knows our team's going to go because guys are going to force J.O. to beat them because you got Braun sitting there, and I think he's equipped to handle that. I think he's mature enough to handle that. I think he's dangerous enough to handle that. So, been awesome for us. Johnny Lim, Southern Illinois, you know, we didn't know what was going to happen with Brady Neal in the draft, you know, and Brady didn't have the year he wanted, but still had a very productive player, young for the draft, left-handed hitting catcher, plus defender, can really catch and throw. So knew he kind of wanted to sign if the situation was right. And in his meeting, he was like, Coach, I didn't have a good enough year for you to plan to force me in. Like, go protect our team. And if I'm back, I'll try to go win a job. And what a mature response from a player. You don't get that very often from guys, but kind of, again, peels back the curtain on who Brady Neal is as a human. And so we went and added Johnny, and that's what jumped off to us was, yes, there was power, which you always like. Yes, it's left-handed, which you like with a couple other right-handed catchers on our roster. But the walk to strikeout was really impressive, really high walks. And we've seen that. He's commanded the strike zone really well here. You sometimes wonder, how is that going to translate? Maybe kind of moving up a level, I would say. But it's been great. His feel for the zone is outstanding. He's tough. He's an Australian kid, man. I love tough. This dude like left home in Australia to go to junior college in America, then to something like, you tell him that kid ain't going to be scared of a whole lot. I'll tell you that. And so he's been a great addition for us. He's a beautiful kid. And then same thing with Dev. You know, Dev coming from Northern Kentucky, just gaudy numbers. But when we watched him, man, like, you sometimes wonder when you watch players on Synergy, when we're kind of doing our homework on them, and you see 14, 15 plus homers, whatever it was. It's like, man, are these all pull side jacks? Are we just bullying, you know, maybe mediocre arms that we can go get after? And it wasn't. When we watched him, it was like, man, homers is the big part. Best swings coming through right center field, and just really good direction, some strength. Kind of a strong body dude, but moves really good. Has played center field, and shoot, we had 2 center fielders in our outfield last year in Bonamalo and Fowler. So that was, and we saw how huge that was. So it's like, man, if Dev comes in, he either plays center or right. You get him and Fowler in the same outfield. You've got 2 center fielders out there again. So those 3 have been great. All 3 had great falls, done some really good things, and we're going to rely really heavily on those guys come February.
One thing I've been asking every coach that we've been visiting with, to me, this is fascinating because every coach is wired differently, right? Like, let's say after practice, after a game, you go home. Like, how do you wind down? Like, are you a reader? You watch movies? Are you a TV show guy? Like, what's your go-to?
Well, I have a 9-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 10-month-old. So I don't know that I've ever wound down right now. Like when I come home, my 3-year-old does not care how my day went. He wants to play. He's the most in love with baseball human. I promise you, every day he goes to school. I take him and his brother to school every day. So he's in his car seat in the back seat. He keeps this in his car seat. He has a blue batting helmet that was his brother's, a blue batting helmet in one of those absolutely ridiculous sliding mitts. Every day he gets in the car and puts his helmet on, puts his sliding mitt on, and then sits in his car seat. We head to school every single day. So, like, he's a savage when it comes to this. So when we get home, it's either I'm playing baseball with Bo, I'm jumping on the trampoline with Wyatt. It is – my wife is a saint. I mean, she is the best of the best to hold that down. But it's my favorite thing. And it's one thing that's been so good when you talk about quality of life is I was at Maryland for 11 years and I loved every ounce of my time there. Unbelievable people, great times, the best. The biggest challenge is I lived in Annapolis, which was about 45 minutes to an hour away from campus. It was a great place to live. But man, that commute, I missed a lot with my family. I would get home and the kids are in bed or they're getting ready for bed. I can't make it to practice. Now, like, we live 10 minutes from the field and my son was out. He's coming out today. He's going to come hit with me in the cage today. I had him fielding ground balls with Barnett short the other day. Like, he's here all the time. He's doing that stuff, which is awesome. So, man, winding down, I don't know if I'd call it winding down, but I love that time of getting home and we have dinner together and we can, whatever it is, man, we may go jump on the trampoline out back. We may play baseball. We may build something with blocks. Every day is different with that crew, but man, unfortunately my wind down doesn't happen until about 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night. We finally get the kids to bed. My wife and I just like collapse on the couch and we're like barely can, it just like takes it all out of you. But I would not trade those times for anything because I know there'll be a time coming that I'd give anything to come in and stack some blocks and play baseball with those boys.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is a dad. I don't think there's much better than having your son love baseball. One of my prouder moments as a dad. It's COVID year. My son's 11 now. We were out playing wiffle ball in the backyard yesterday. By the way,
love it.
Which is great. But I remember we're out to eat, and again, it's COVID year where the baseball season's been condensed.
Sure.
And he's 6 at the time, and we're eating. He's kind of quiet. He says, "Mom, what time is it?" She said, "It's 6:50." He says, "We got to go. The Braves play in 10 minutes."
I love it.
So it's like, I think we're gonna get along through the teenage years because of that.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like, so my oldest is Wyatt, and he's like a really good little ball player, like really athletic. Kind of the opposite of me. Like, guys will tell you I love dudes that bang. I like hitters, and JJ's like, hey, remember we got to play defense too. So like I have to pull myself back on that. Wyatt's like my elite defender that's still growing. He's still 9 a week. Bo is 3 and he slams and does not care about a glove. Like, don't give me a glove. I don't care. Just give me a bat and let me hit. And so he does it every day, man. They watch everything. He mimics our guys. He was out there the other day. And I'll tell him, like, hey, do the plat for Will Plattner, our guy. He'll get up there and swing his bat on his back. And last year we had a kid, Will Hodo, our first baseman. I was like, hey, show me Hodo. He'll get his bat up and go. So he's 3. He sees everything and loves it. But it's a blast. It's a blast. And then my little girl's 10 months, and she's the best of the best. So, yeah, they keep us busy, but there ain't nothing better.
Yeah. Don't know much about this guy other than what he put on paper a year ago. But tell us about is it Evan Steckmesser from Stanford? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yep.
Really interesting guy. Had a 3.18 ERA in 57 innings a year ago. Kept the ball on the ground. Strikes out a lot more than he walks and hits. That looks like an interesting piece. Where does he fit in?
Yeah, I think Steck's really going to help us. It's just a funky lefty, man. Like, he is a lefty in every sense of the word. Like, had a really good career at Sanford, threw the ball really well. And he did against some big boys. I watched him throw, in Knoxville last year, and when we're going through video, and man, he's able to control a pretty darn good lineup and do it at their place. And, it's a bullpen piece. It's a guy that's going to be the right matchup. We've got to set Steck up for success, but the game just doesn't get fast on him. He's old. When I talked to him, he was working he was in Huntsville at the Trash Panda Stadium working the night I called him. And just, man, he doesn't grip it too tight. Doesn't do it. He's your typical lefty that's got some funk to him, that knows what he's doing. It's a good slider from a weird slot. It's like a low release, different slot that if we can use him in the right way, it's kind of rubber arm, man, feels good, can throw every day. I think that's what he wants to do. He's just kind of that throwback that just gets out there and competes, and the game doesn't get too fast for. So, we talk about finding our fireman, right? It's what we call the guy that can come in a mess and minimize and do great things there. And I think Steck's going to be a guy in that mix where I think the world can be burning down around him. He's like, all right, I'm going to throw my slider. All right, fastball, sure, let's try that. Not going to make it too big. Has thrown a lot of collegiate innings and has had a lot of success. So, I think we use him in the right spots. He has a chance to be a really effective weapon for us.
Coach, you're a young guy, but, you look at Early and now Elander, are you with those two? Hey, I'm the vet here.
No doubt. So it's funny. Early and I played pro ball together. So he was on my team in Great Falls. So him and I have gone way back. And man, I remember telling him when he got that job, because Michael Early's an elite hitting coach. That guy can really coach hitters and has done it for a long time. And I remember telling him, I was like, Mike, just don't forget that, dude. The mistake I made is when I became a head coach, I stopped doing what I was good at. And I kind of got out of it because I thought I was supposed to be a CEO and supposed to do all this stuff. And I was like, you're a great hitting coach. Keep being a good hitting coach. And he called me this summer and he's like, you told me. I know I was supposed to. And he's like, I didn't pull out of it, but I just wasn't involved as I should have. And he's like, I'm going to get back involved in that this year. Now, we don't play them this year. That's fine. We play Tennessee every year. So I'm not going to call Josh and give him any advice on anything. But man, really cool for him. Tony Vitello, again, being at Alabama, we're supposed to hate Tennessee. Tony and I go back to my college days. I mean, he recruited me out of high school when he was at Missouri. So I've known Tony for years. And man, all you got to do is tell that guy he can't do something that's going to make him want to do it. And I don't know how the heck this is going to go. I don't think anybody does. But if anybody can navigate the world that Tony Vitello is stepping into, it's Tony V, because he is so good with people. And people talk about man, he can't grip it as tight as he does for 162 and all this. But that guy's got such good feel, man. He's gonna understand what that locker room needs and give it to him. And who knows? I don't know what the heck's going to happen. I don't think he knows. But for him to have the guts to step into something like that is pretty dang cool. And I thought, you always look at it, you're like, what are they going to do here? They got this thing right. They got it right by going with Josh. Josh Elander is a really good man. You see it in his press conference, man. I watched it, and to see him talk about his family, to see him talk about this stuff, that guy's a good dude, man. Now, I hope for 3 games a year they stink when we go to Knoxville, but they got that thing right in Tennessee, and that's pretty neat. It's neat to see in a world where, man, when I stepped into that conference room 3 years ago for our first SEC meetings, I feel like I was the youngest dude in there by 15 years. And I was like, I better just sit here and twiddle my thumbs and mind my P's and Q's a little bit here. And it's just kind of neat to see some of you still have the elites and the Tim Corbins and the Dave Van Horns and these guys that are just elite at what they do. I talked about Jay earlier and the respect I have for that guy as a game manager. It's just kind of neat to see. I hope they both continue to have growing pains, because the more growing pains they have, the better it is for the Tide. But really cool to see really good men love their families. Man, the one thing I'll tell you, the bigger things in baseball here, we just need more and more good people in this game. And Mike Early and Josh Elander are certainly that.
Yeah, we do these. We're trying to get all the coaches. We got to maybe half of them last year. We'll probably get a little more this year. But the thing that strikes me is like I leave all these. I look at the teams you guys assemble. I talk to you guys. It's like, man, I'd go let my kid play for this guy if he was recruiting. Like that's every conversation we have.
Sure.
And it's a beauty pageant. The number of wins and losses against each other don't change. I think sometimes people lose sight of that. But how do you guys? I mean, I look at your job, and it's hard, man, with the portal, the tampering, the draft, the timelines. Like we had a national championship played 2 years ago where a coach is being poached from one program and trying to, I mean, nothing I need to tell you, right? Like I see it. What needs to change in the game to keep guys like you and peers in the league like sane and in this thing a few years
Chris,
from now?
How much time we got here?
We got all the time you want because these are the big questions. I mean, I'm serious that you have the floor for whatever you want here.
No, and I think that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing is like we do need to continue. Like I get this league. It is 16 of the best, and every team is good. Missouri was 3-27 last year. To the outside in, they look at it and like those guys suck. Well, guess what? Sam Horn on a Friday night was 95-98 with a slamming breaking ball on what was the quote-unquote worst team in our league last year. Everybody's good. There's like talent. You may be able to pick and choose it a little bit. Like, man, they got the edge here. They got the edge here. Everybody's good. Doesn't matter. Like the one thing that we just haven't figured out in this game yet, and I get it. Like I always talk about like, man, I'm a rule follower by nature. You tell me to stay in the lines, yes, sir. Stay in the lines. I'm not going to push the edges. I'm not going to do that. Some of the best learn how to get in the gray a little bit. And they're not going to break the rule, but, man, they're going to walk right up to it. And there's times that I'm like, man, I've got to learn to live in the gray a little bit more and all these things. But, man, the tampering piece sucks. Like, and every college coach will tell you that. And, there's several schools in the country that have the ability to go in and have a purse string to be able to do whatever they want and to go buy whoever they want. And, I was talking to an AD one time and he told me this, and we were talking about, NIL coming into the game and the transfer portal kind of coming into the game at the same time and all of this stuff. And it was both of these things coming in there together that was the problem. Because this AD said, he's like, I had one of my peers tell me, man, if your guy's having a good experience, he's not going to leave you. In theory, that's right. But if he's having a good experience, but he's going to make $500,000 over here, that experience doesn't matter that much anymore. Like $500,000 is $500,000. He's going to go do that 99% of the time. That's not what this game was meant to be. That is not what college baseball was meant to be. It's not what college athletics was meant to be. And I am the biggest proponent of young people being able to make money off their name, image, and likeness. I'm great with revenue sharing and all those things that have come into our game. I'm actually a proponent of that. I think it's really neat. I think when we make the money we make as coaches, I think it's foolish for us to say, like, sorry, kids, take your 11-7 and like it. Like, I am awesome with this. But the biggest thing we got to get to is we are still, I don't care as good as this league is, most of our kids aren't playing in the big leagues. Most of them aren't. But the environment we've created in college now is man, go chase the next big dollar. Let's go when things get hard, cut and run to the next one. When I'm not starting, cut. Like, we are not preparing young people for life right now because we have guys, especially in this NIL world, man, like everything in this thing, like we tell our guys, man, like we're going to try to treat you all fairly, but it's not going to be equal. That's life, right? Like that's just the way it works. Myself and Mike Morrison don't make the same amount of money. Like we're both treated very fairly per our respective positions, but it's not the same, and that's okay. But we're in this thing, man, where I think entitlement has crept in a lot because dollars and cents are now involved. I think somehow, and like you talk to them all the time, like we all know as coaches, every one of us know when you have guys trying to get in the ear of your player, whether it's through an advisor or a high school coach or whatever. We all know the schools that do it. We all know when it happens. But you go talk to people and they're like, well, bring me some evidence that it's happened. It's like, guys, these guys aren't idiots. We're not We're not typing up an email saying, hey, please, we would like to have a conversation with Justin Lebron. Here's the amount of money we'll give him. They're not idiots. We know how this happens. So it's hard. Like, that's where I don't know the answer to this. Like, there's not a way, I don't think, unfortunately, I don't know how the heck you stop it. I don't know if it's feasible to stop it because people know how to work in behind the scenes and do things. It just is what it is. And so we can sit here as coaches and suck our thumb or complain about it, or we can just do the best we can with the rules that we're given. And do I wish we could fix the tampering? Yeah, because it's not like everybody thinks it's just mid-majors. It happens at our level all the time. It happens at our level. This situation, you should never, ever have a kid that comes in, has a great experience as an All-American and transfer to the next school. And then he has a great experience as All-American, he transfers to the next school. And then he has a great experience as an All-American, he's drafted. Like, the guys that I talk to every day, the guys that were in my wedding are the dudes I went to college with. They're my college teammates. We have a text thread, Brad Hutt, Daniel Edwards, Chase Bayou, Drew Beardy. We text each other almost every day, and it's awesome. And young people are not getting that anymore. And that's a shame. That is sad, and that is not the way it was supposed to be. So I am all about young people making money. I don't love the fact that you're seeing guys just jump every year. Man, the worst part of my year is June, July, August, where you're trying to recruit you're trying to keep your current guys in place. You're trying to bring some guys in. It's just convoluted all over. And I think we do as good of a job of anybody of our kids, whether they're everyday starters or not, having a great experience here. But man, I wish there was some way to get a hold on the other stuff, because I still think our ultimate job is trying to prepare these kids that when things get hard, dig in, don't cut and run. When things get messy, dig in, don't just cut. Because what's going to stop you when your job's hard or your marriage is hard? Like, when me and my wife fight, I'm not like, all right, let's call a divorce attorney, let's move on from this one. It's like, no, you lean into that. But we are teaching young people when it gets hard, cut and run. Or if somebody has more money, cut and run. And man, that is the piece that makes me sick about it. I want them to make money. I want them to do this. But I still think our biggest goal in this whole thing should be training these young people to be successful when they leave. And unfortunately, at times, I don't feel like we do that.
Yeah, and I think some of it is the stuff that you touched on. It's the emergence of the portal and NIL at the same time. And then I think more exposure for the game. You got more fans, you got more eyeballs on you. Money always creates incentives, right? And exposure. No doubt. So like it's blown up. And I think some of the forces are economic, obviously, but
no doubt.
I'm just fascinated. Like 10 years ago, not even that, it used to be taboo in your profession. Like if you had a kid committed to your program, nobody else recruited him. I mean, that was the code, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and we've gone from that to like, I mean, I've got some crazy stories I've heard. I'm not going to talk about them here. I'm sure you got your own share. Like, how did we get from there to here?
Yeah, I think we have, and it happens to us. It's happened to us twice the last couple of years with the same cast of characters, and it was kind of like, it was the thing that you feel like kept you sane as a baseball coach. Like, I watch what those football coaches deal with, where you send out the NLIs and you're sitting by the fax machine back when fax machines were a thing, like which ones are coming back in. And like, I remember thinking, I'm like, golly, I cannot imagine living that world of like, he's committed, but on signing day, he's actually going over to your arch rival now. Like, I couldn't imagine. There was always that kind of gentleman's code of like, man, that's the reality, is like once he's committed to Auburn, like, man, go get him. I get it. Something changes one day down the road, let me know, but like, hands off. And all this is speculation for me because I don't know, but those days are gone. Like, they're just simply gone. Like, and for us to, I literally tell myself all the time, it happened to us about 3 weeks ago with the kid, and it is what it is. It's disappointing. It's frustrating. It's all those things, but we're foolish to act like it's not happening anymore. Like, we are trying to, at the University of Alabama, like, we have hung our hat on just doing stuff the right way. We ain't going to be those guys that do that, but it happens out there. So if it happens, it happens. Like, that's the game we're playing now. All I can think is, and this has benefited a lot of us younger coaches, the money in this game is very different than it was for coaches even 5 to 7 years ago. Like, the idea of a baseball coach making over $3 million even 5 years ago was crazy to think about. Like, I mean, I remember when I first got into coaching, I was a mechanical engineering student. When I first got into coaching, my dad's biggest concern was that you were going to be able to make enough money for your family in coaching. That was like the biggest concern. Like, now we're nowhere in that ballpark of stuff now, right? Like, it's very, very different now, which I'm very thankful for. It's blessed my family in some really cool ways. But I think when those numbers start getting so high, what you're willing to do to keep your job, you'll throw morals, you'll throw code, you'll throw all that out the window, because it's like dog eat dog, man. Like, I got to feed my family here. Like, if I got to go get that dude so I can keep my job, like, my family and my crew is more important than you. I'm going to go do that. Like, so that's all speculation. I don't know why, but you're not wrong. The days of the gentleman's handshake, hey, he's going to this school, hands off, those are so long gone. It's not even funny. I think you still have, and I think that's what gets frustrating, right? Is I feel like you've got this camp of people that like cling to that ideal, which we do. We cling to that. And then you've got this camp that's like, who cares? We're going to do what we got to do. But I think I'm kind of getting to the point where we're not going to start doing that. But I'm also not going to complain and feel bad for myself when that does happen, because that's what's happening. That's just the game we're in. So we are foolish to continue being shocked by that. We just got to do a good job of recruiting our players, of getting the right people, of getting the right families, of continuing to stay on top of them. And I think, man, anytime you see that stuff happening, we can get mad at the coaches that are the ones behind the scenes. But a lot of times we either haven't done a good enough job with the kid, or we got the wrong kid. And doesn't mean he's not a great player. Just doesn't mean he's not the right kid for us, because the right kid for us doesn't cut and run. The right kid for us doesn't walk. The right kid for us doesn't chase a bigger dollar figure or a sexier thing. That ain't the right dude for us. We miss. Let's do a better job next time getting our right guy. So the days of that are long gone. But like I said, I think for us to suck our thumb and feel bad for ourselves, this is where we're at, man. We all know the rules of the game. Let's go to work. And like I said, me and my staff are going to choose things to do our way, and we got to live with the consequences of that. Sometimes, like, that's the real deal. But I think you see a lot of guys that are willing to stay with a moral code or a gentleman's code as long as you're winning and having success. When you start thinking about losing that multi-million-dollar contract, if I don't have good enough players, my family's more important than yours. Morals out the window. Let's go do what we got to do. And that's just kind of, unfortunately, where this has evolved over the years.
Yeah, I've never understood. I've always thought if we can put a man on the moon, you can get enough people in the room and figure this out,
No
right?
doubt.
I mean, and maybe it's having a college baseball commissioner, and I guess you guys sort of have that in the SEC. But if somebody in the ACC tampers with the roster, I'm just throwing that out at random. You're kind of out to.
Yeah, and it's such a weird thing, because I say that all the time. I mean, you better not put your player development guy coaching first base. Like, that is like a taboo. If that happens, like, that's illegal. You can't do that. But we can police that, but we can't figure out how to get guys to stop calling players on your team offering lots of money. Like, what are we doing? Like, where have we missed the boat here? We're making – but you need somebody smarter than me. I don't know how the heck to fix it. Do I think it's an issue? Absolutely. I think it's the biggest issue in our game. I don't know how you fix it. And I would love for somebody that's way smarter than me to come in and say, man, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. But, man, I'm not the guy for that. I don't know near enough how to do it. But it's definitely in the game right now. And like I said, it's unfortunate. But I don't want to cloud it with that. The game is in such a cool place as it's ever been. It's so fun to be a part of that. There is nothing more fun than an SEC weekend on the road. And it's hard. It's awful. It's like – you freaking feel like you just went 12 rounds with Tyson at the end of that thing, but there ain't nothing more fun than that. And if you're really a competitor that enjoys the arena of competition, there is nothing like it. So the game's awesome. It's so fun. This is such a great league to come play in. everywhere and everything, that perfection doesn't exist. I hear our AD Greg Burns say that all the time. No place is perfect. Perfection does not exist. The SEC is not perfect. The ACC is not perfect. The Big 12, Big 10, there's no perfection. You're just picking and choosing what your frustrations are. And I'll tell you that the good outweighs the bad in what we do. And I get to show up to work every day with an awesome group of dudes, a great group of kids, and get to go work our butts off to try to go compete to be the best of the best and in the toughest conference in America. And I love every second of it. So are there things I wish we could fix? Sure. Are there things we could change? Sure. Would I ever choose to be anywhere else? Not a shot in heck. This is the most fun thing of all time.
One more for you. I know you've got a lunch in a moment, but pitching architecture. You got a lot of guys that thrown a lot of innings. I know falls are to kind of get guys stretched out and stuff, but any idea of maybe how that stacks up? I mean, the way the game has moved has just gotten super interesting in terms of openers and, postseasons are always fun because there's the moment of truth. And then you get the World Series where guys are throwing innings like it's 1920 again, which was weird. The world, not yours, but the World Series, MLB, like
it's awesome,
which was kind of fascinating. Sorry, I went on a tangent before I even asked the question. But what does it look like for you with your pitching staff and roles and stuff this year?
Yeah, so much of this you have to roll with the punches, man. You better be flexible. You better have different options. You better have the ability to do that. I thought that was one thing that Tony Vitello and Frank Anderson did a couple of years ago. Maybe my first year in the league. Like, man, they handled the opener as good as they did anybody, and so I think, as I look at our staff, I think you look at Tyler Fay and Zane Adams is kind of your proven commodities, right? They've both done it in this league. Tyler Fay kind of stormed the scene about halfway through the year last year, and his first SEC start, we threw him on the road at the box against LSU on a Thursday night on national television. And we'll figure out real quick what he can do with that. And he did a great job, was awesome, and kind of cemented himself. So feel pretty good about those two guys leading the charge for us. And then I think this is where you start talking about your style, your philosophy. Like, I think you can argue your third best arm might need to be your closer. I know everybody wants to be that weekend starter, but wins in this league are so hard to get. And those outs 26, 20, or 27, 28, 29, whatever it is, the last three outs, I can't freaking add. I don't know. The last three outs of the game are so hard to get that it's like at the end of this thing, man, like you better have a dude on the back end you can trust. And we had that last year in Carson Osmer. We had such a great year because Osmer had something like 17, 18 saves last year. That's incredible. That's a lot. And so to me, that's what we've got to talk through over the winter break as a staff is construction of that weekend rotation. And you might see Sunday be our quote unquote third best starter. You might see our third best guy that probably could do with that, but be more valuable on the back end to try to seal some of those games on Friday and Saturday. So we've got to talk through it. I think we got some options. You've got Matt Heiberger, who's done both. Started up in the Cape, I think in his mind would really like to start, and we want to give the ability to do that, but could be more valuable in other places. I think you look at Bobby Alcock. He started early in the year last year for us, coming off shoulder surgery. He's come back and been pretty good for us. You have JT Blackwood, who started and done some things. You got Owen Sarna, who's a transfer that started and done some things. And then you got your two superstars in Myles Upchurch and Luke Smyers that are high-end weekend starters of the future. But it's like, do you do the Dylan Volantis role that Texas did last year, where you could argue Volantis was one of, if not their best arm, throwing at the end of games? And I don't know. I think he's transitioned more to the front end of games this year. But, like, I think that's the question you always have is I feel like it's our job as coaches to put them in the right spots as best we can. So I think you'll see Zane Fay for sure at the front end of games. And then I think after that, the puzzle pieces are there. It's for us. What is the right moves to make? Like, where is that play? Is the third best guy starting? Is the third best guy in the pen because we trust him to go get those last three? So that's some of what we're going to have to work through. I think we've got a lot of usable pieces, and I think the best staffs in the country, they do a great job at helping pitcher 13, 14, 15 on the roster have a role. They might not be your closer. They may not be your weekend starter or your fireman leverage guy. But, man, there's a pocket of 3 hitters that this lefty with that slot can go in and spin those 3 hitters, and that's 3 outs that our closer doesn't now have to get. Like, can we find the ability for that guy that's maybe not your prime time dude? Can we find the window and the pockets and the at-bats that, one, keeps that guy engaged and keeps him feeling like he matters to the team, but also takes some outs away from some of those high leverage guys having to go get? And can you find the right matchups in there? And that's what we're going to have to do a really good job of this year.
Hey, Rob, hope we didn't make you for lunch. Always enjoy the conversation. If we don't talk to you again before the season, best of luck with Alabama baseball this year.
I appreciate you guys. Man, this is awesome. I enjoy the conversation. So y'all are the best. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. He's Rob Vaughn, Alabama head coach. Graham, did you have one more on the way out?
Mm-mm.
Okay. For Graham Doty, I'm Chris Lee. You've been watching Southeastern 16's baseball coverage.